Hey guys and gals, welcome back in. Tim Knox here, as always, with my helper today, Annie. Say hi, Annie. Annie is one of our rescues. When we got Annie, she was a filthy mess. Her hair was so matted she could barely walk. Look at her now. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. She is my wife's favorite. Although I have to be quiet because I have 4 other dogs here who think they are the favorites. So, hey, what are we doing today? Oh, I know. I was doing some research for a new book I'm working on small business, and I was going back through a bunch of, look at this, papers that I have. These are just notes that I've jotted down over the years. And I came across this, a couple of pages of notes that I had written out for a class. And reading this, I thought it would be a really good idea to share this with you because it's a question that I get occasionally. And the question is this: what is more important, the idea or the execution? Now, in this case, we're talking about small business, of course. What's more important there? But you could really put this to anything. If you're writing a book, is the book itself the important thing, or is the marketing or the execution of the book? And we've talked about that before, but I thought I would just kind of quickly go over this because I do get this question a lot, and I think it's a very interesting thing for you to understand, especially if you are a relatively new entrepreneur, and that's a question you're pondering. So the question is, what's more important, the idea or the execution of the idea? In my humble opinion, I think the execution is what really matters. And I say that because of this. You can have a bad idea, but if you execute it well, you will be far more successful than if you have a great idea and you execute it badly. Tito and Nacho, the Chihuahuas, are fighting. Boys. This is Nacho. I'm doing a podcast. Can you chill? Okay. So the idea of having all these dogs obviously was not a great idea. But again, a bad idea executed wisely and executed well can have greater success than a great idea executed badly. Think about this. How many times a day do you see something on television or you see something in the store and you think, wow, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life? Yet then you find out that that dumb thing is making millions and millions of dollars because of the marketing, the execution, all the stuff that goes along with it. On the opposite side of that, how many times do you see something and think, well, that's a great idea, but then you never see it again? Usually that's because the great idea, even though it was great, was executed badly. It was either brought to market wrong, it was underfunded, the marketing plan was bad, what have you. So that's really the moral. You probably wouldn't even miss a great idea simply because it was not executed well. All right, so I'm going to go back to my notes here. How do you execute well? If you've got a business idea or you've written a book or you have something that you want to bring to the masses, how do you execute it well? A lot of it has to do with 3 things: planning, strategy, marketing. And a 4th thing I'll throw in, and that is funding, the money. What are the strengths and weaknesses of your product? That's the first thing you need to look at because that will help you do everything else. You will create a strategic plan. You need to get it produced, perhaps. If it's going to be a manufactured product, you've got to figure out how are you going to get it to market? How are you going to market it? How are you going to get it to the masses? How are you going to sell it? There's 100 things to think about, but it really comes down to planning it. Before you ever put a dime into a product, you should have a full plan as to how you are going to get that product funded, produced, brought to market, marketed, delivered, sold, etc. You got to realize something else also. Speed to market now is a very big thing. In the past, a lot of companies would put time and money into having a patent done. Well, if you've never been involved in the patent process, I can tell you from multiple experience, it can be lengthy and it is incredibly expensive. So many companies now, rather than spending money on patents, they are putting that money into execution. They are getting the product to market quickly. One of my favorite examples of this is the Snuggie. You know the Snuggie? It's basically a blanket with armholes. Well, when they came out with that, they knew that it wouldn't take long for someone in China to knock them off. So their philosophy, their strategy for execution was this: let's get it to market quickly, let's saturate the market with advertisements and promotions, and let's sell as many of these as we can, as quickly as we can, before we get knocked off. And that's what they did. They sold several million of those things the first year, made a lot of money. I honestly don't even know if you can still buy them. I do know that they were knocked off rather quickly. So the strategy worked out for them. It was an okay product, but it was executed amazingly well, and they sold a ton of money. Think about the Pet Rock. Do you remember the Pet Rock? It was a rock in a box that you could keep as a pet. Tens of millions of those stupid things sold. It was a great novel idea executed well. So whatever you are planning on doing, whether it's starting a business or writing a book or whatever, keep in mind that your idea, while it's important that it be a great idea, the execution of that idea is actually, in my opinion, what matters most. Okay? Hey, if you have a question you would like me to answer, please shoot me an email. The email is there, tim@timknux.com. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel because I do several of these videos a week, and God forbid you miss this quality of wisdom and wit. All right? Hey, I got to get back to my book. The dog, hey, don't do that. The dogs have to go out. I'll see you later. Nacho.